Hi, everybody. My name is Nanika Edwards. I'm a poet and artist, author and linguist and educator from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Today, I'm back with another English idiom. Let's get right to it. And what do we have here? Can you guess which creature we'll be dealing with in this video? That's right, the bee. And can you guess what the idiom is going to be? As busy as a bee. Did you get that right? If you did, hats off. If you didn't, that's okay. Now you know. When we say that somebody is as busy as a bee, what we mean is that they are productive. A bee is productive. They make honey, and that's one of the major ways in which they are productive. And in a metaphorical sense, they make money. And they get busy making flowers feel sunny. Yes, a bee is productive. Would you agree? For example, I'm usually as busy as a bee because I'm an author and I'm also an artist and I write a lot of books and I illustrate my own books. I make the art or I create the illustrations and the images for my books, and that means I tend to be very busy. In fact, I have published more than 100 books, self published, and they're on Amazon. Are you productive? Do you spend your time doing things that are constructive? We also learned that bees make honey and they busy themselves with making honey. In real life, if we break this down, which is what I'm doing, breaking down the idiom as busy as a bee, if bees get busy making honey, what does that look like in real life? Well, how does honey taste? That's right, it tastes sweet. So, being as busy as a bee making honey means that maybe you do sweet things that make people feel as if you poured sunshine into their soul. Maybe you baked some brownies for a friend for their birthday. Or maybe you cheered someone up when they felt a little down, a little sad. Or maybe you decided to write a letter to somebody who doesn't have many friends. But a busy bee making honey can translate into being kind, doing something kind. People were really created and designed to be kind to one another. Bees also get busy making money. Now, what do I mean by that? I don't mean literal money, for a bee that is, but metaphorically, yes, if you're like a person who is a busy bee, then maybe something you do is make money. Even if you're young, you can do that. So, what color is honey? That's right. You could say that it's gold. Typically, gold is a color that is a symbol of money and wealth. There is nothing wrong with money. It is the love of money that can get us in trouble. But if we use money in an honest and healthy way, it can do a lot of good. Have you ever thought of starting a business? Bees can also make flowers feel sunny. How do they do that? They do that by spreading their pollen, by paying them a visit every day, by buzzing about in joy and making them feel happy because joy is contagious. So bees get busy making flowers feel sunny. What does that translate into? Well, when you're sunny inside, you can chase away the rain clouds in somebody else's life. You can be a source of encouragement. You can cheer people on when they're trying to do something that's important to them, as long as it's not hurting anybody else or even them. You can tell somebody, chin up, when they feel down, or give them a hug, even. Sometimes you don't have to say anything at all. Just give somebody a hug, a nice warm hug, when they probably need a jug of sunshine. That's the same as making flowers feel sunny. But being busy can make us feel a bit tired sometimes. So it's always good to take the time to rest, to recharge your batteries, to still, chill, and refill, as I like to put it. Still, chill, and refill. Sometimes we need that. A still bee, though, is simply resting, not being lazy, just resting. As an author, I do that sometimes. Sometimes, if I feel a bit burnt out, I take the time to stop and pause and give my body, my mind, my soul a chance to refresh itself, to recharge, and to find the energy to keep on going. Yes, it's good to be busy, but it's not good to be so busy. You know what bees are like, especially bumblebees. They go buzzing all about and flying in circles round and round and busy in the flowers, carrying pollen about the place, and they're very busy making honey and so on. And that can be really tiring. I mean, just looking at a bumblebee going round and round and round can be tiring. So just imagine how the bumblebee feels. And sometimes we are like those bumblebees. Sometimes we can be so busy doing this, that, and the other that we get tired. And it's always good to take the time to rest so that you can recharge your batteries. It doesn't mean you're a lazy bee, it just means you're a resting bee. We have a saying in Trinidad, maybe in the Caribbean in general, the devil makes work. Do you know how this ends? Yeah, this is something to really keep in mind. The devil makes work, that's right, for idle hands. The devil makes work for idle hands. Do you see this guy in my image here? He's from one of my books. Actually, it's called Nursery Rhymes Respun Critical Thinking Fun. You can check it out on Amazon. This illustration is one of the images in the book. And what do you think he's doing? He's definitely being idle, right? He's definitely being idle. He does not look like he's up to anything good. So the devil makes work for idle hands. And that's true. That's very true. Sometimes when we feel bored and we don't know what to do with ourselves, the devil will find something for us to do, and we may find that we do something that later on, whether later on in the day or later on in life, that we regret. And I remember when I was in high school, my best friend at the time happened to move back home to Jamaica. I was in Trinidad. She moved back home to Jamaica with her family. And we used to write letters to each other. Back then, there was no internet, no email, no social media. So, I mean, we literally wrote what are now called snail mail letters, right? Snail mail correspondence. And I remember maybe in a couple of my letters, I used to tell her, oh my goodness, I'm so bored. This was like maybe in the fourth year of high school. And I used to tell her, oh my goodness, I'm so bored. And she used to write back and wisely tell me, Nika, if you know God, you're not supposed to be bored. And I took her gentle rebuke to heart and I started finding productive and constructive things to do. Mischief makers are idols. This guy is definitely a mischief maker and he's definitely being idle. Mischief makers are idle. People who cause trouble or enjoy causing trouble for other people are idle. And they never ever take the time to think, to even just get busy thinking, even if not doing, but at least busy thinking about the consequences of their actions, because what we sow, we will reap. Whatever seed of folly or wisdom that we plant in the ground will bear a whole harvest that we ourselves will have to either painfully or pleasurably eat. Do you know what the song of the idol is? The song of the idol. This is it. I'm bored. I'm so bored. Yep, that's the song of the idol. Do you often say, I'm bored? I'm so bored. I'm bored. If you do, that's a red flag. The song of the diligent. Do you know what it is? At least according to yours truly, the person talking to you in this video, that's me, yours truly. I scored. The song of the diligent. I scored. I'm bored versus I scored. Which one would you prefer to be saying? I scored is like dunking a basketball through a basketball hoop, right? Imagine the feeling of victory you feel when you accomplish something like that. I scored. I earned points in life. You know, the way you earn points when you play a video game and you beat some monster and you win some bonus treasure or something like that. Then you can say, I scored. On a certain level, life is like a video game. You go from level to level to level. And every time you show that you've mastered a level, you can move on to the next level. And when we are diligent in life, in actual life, you know, you do your homework, you listen to your parents, you take good advice, you know, things like that. You apply the good advice that people give you. You occupy your time productively. You do some things that we're going to look at in a little while. Then you will be able to see, I scored. I am going to get to another level in this video game called life. And if you're not diligent and all the swords and armor and whatever resources, tools, weapons, the video game weapons, of course, I mean, that you have at your disposal. If you don't use them because you're too lazy, oh my goodness, this sword is too heavy. Oh my goodness, oh my gosh. Um, Working to fight these monsters is too hard. All those things. If in the video game you don't even want to lift a finger to move your video game character around, you're not going to score. You will stay on the same level all the time. So that is I'm bored versus I scored. And now here are some common idle doings. Cyberbullying or bullying of any kind, whether online or offline. Gossip and slander, shoo-shooing or whispering or spreading news about other people that will make their life difficult for no good reason and without any compassion or thoughtfulness. That's gossip and slander, and it is idle. When we don't know what to do with our hands, sometimes we do foolish things with our mouth. Gossip and slander would be in that category. Yapping on the phone. And by yapping, I mean talking about nothing consequential, all frivolity, total frivolousness, nothing particularly deep or important or life changing. Not that you always have to have deep and profound conversations, but if all you do is yap, 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 yap on the phone, that is very idle. Lots of frivolous entertainment, right? Frivolous is a word I just used. Frivolous means silly, not particularly deep or truly interesting or important or life changing. That's frivolous. Frivolous is meaningless, meaningless. Lots of frivolous entertainment. If all you do, I shouldn't say all you do, but if hours of your time every day is spent on video games, you're being idle. And you may think, oh, but it's fun, it's fun, I like it. Well, it's good to have fun, but all things in moderation. All things in moderation. A well known saying in English is all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. But all play and no work makes Jack a foolish boy. But some work and some play makes Jack a balanced boy. Okay, so it's important to be balanced. So video games do have some benefits depending on the game, right? Some games are toxic and you have to be careful with that, but some games are harmless. But too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. So it's really important to be balanced. And you may think, but it's fun, there's no harm in that. Well, you're saying that because you're living in the moment. But if you project your thoughts into the future and you can see the consequences, the personal and social and professional consequences of spending all your time now playing frivolous video games, then you would sing a very different tune. So playing hours of video games every day is idle, even though you're busy doing something. You may be busy doing something, playing video games for hours every day, but at the end of the day, you're really busy doing nothing much. Okay, so these are 4 red flags here. Let's look at some others that are also in the idle category. Daring friends to tempt danger. Sometimes as when we're young, we like to dare each other to do silly things, sometimes dangerous things. We'll tell people, "Boy, I think you're chicken. You need to prove that you're not a chicken. Go do this or go do that." Something silly and dangerous. That's idle, and it's foolish, and it can be dangerous, and it can even be life threatening. So please don't dare your friends to do dangerous things. It's unkind, it's cruel, and it's thoughtless. Don't do it. A person's life is not a game, and threatening somebody's life or harming somebody's life, even outing somebody's lights, is something you could end up regretting for a lifetime. So please don't do this. It's very idle. Here's another form of idleness: dabbling with addiction. What do I mean by dabbling with addiction? I mean experimenting with alcohol, and I mean experimenting as in drinking alcohol in quantities that are not suitable for a child or a young person, or playing with drugs, experimenting with drugs, sniffing things that you should not be sniffing, watching things that you should not be watching, and getting addicted. And by dabbling, we mean experimenting, okay? So, when you think that playing with danger is a game, especially when it involves alcohol or drugs or whatever it may be, you can end up really hurting yourself and maybe even other people. And it can lead to a lifetime of regret. It can even lead to death. So please do not dabble with addiction. It's a very idle thing to do. Another very common form of being idle is listening to toxic music. Do you like listening to music? What kind of music do you listen to? Your ears are one of the gateways to your soul. Be careful what you listen to. And unfortunately, this is another really frivolous thing that a lot of young people do, sadly, and that is looking at adult entertainment. Entertainment that is designed for adults, but to be honest, that even adults should not be looking at. Okay, so it can be very harmful. Not can be, it is very harmful. This is a kind of thing that can destroy marriages, relationships, and people, the very people who think that this thing is fun. It is idle, and it can lead to real heartache. Don't do it. Please don't do this. If you're looking at magazines or going online and looking at images that you should not be looking at, please stop, because it will ruin your life. Take my word for it. It will ruin your life. Please stop. As you can see, being idle doesn't just mean doing nothing, it means doing things that can lead to sorrow, regret, heartache, pain. And by pain, I mean physical and emotional, spiritual, psychological. Idleness can literally ruin your life. What is idleness? It's the bee, the bee that should be busy doing constructive things, going zzz, as in snoring, going shoo, shoo, right? That's what the Z's there represent, snoring. Eyes, limbs, mind, snoring. Why? Because life is boring. All right? Okay, so let's get on to some more pleasant thoughts. All right, and now let's look at some common busy bee beings. things that you should be doing, some things that you should be doing, okay? Maybe not all of them may not interest you, but certainly some of these things you should be doing. By the way, these lists are not exhaustive. I haven't put every single idle thing or every single busy bee thing in this list, but you can probably add others. So, a common busy bee being would be, or doing, would be reading quality literature. Reading quality literature, reading good books or comic strips or whatever, some type of content that connects your eyes to words. Okay, whether in a book or on a tablet or something like that, preferably in a book because paper would be less harmful to your eyes than the light from a device, right? But reading quality literature is important. Viewing educational content. So, for example, I love looking at videos on YouTube. I do not look at a lot of idle, frivolous, entertaining things. Sometimes I do, but even then, they're not entirely frivolous. Nothing wrong with a little light entertainment here and there, but I generally look at educational content. Being a busy bee can also mean disconnecting from screens, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with connecting with social media um, or reading on your tablet or playing video games. But remember to respect the supervision of your parents because they are older and wiser than you are. And remember everything in moderation. So it's important sometimes to disconnect from digital devices, to move away from from to to minimize or regulate your screen time. So busy bees are not always busy with a screen, okay? That's important to remember. You know, instead of keeping company with your tablet or letting your tablet keep you company, go outside, play football, play baseball, play cricket, play whatever sport you play in your country. Play with your friends. Spend time talking with your friends in person, face to face. Whatever you can do safely that would be face to face and enjoyable and fun or educational, constructive, build something with your friends, make something, do work on some project where you're building something interesting, but disconnect from your screens. A fourth common busy bee being or doing is developing your gifts and talents. That's very important because practice makes perfect. We have another saying in English, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. So develop your gifts and talents so that they can grow and so that you don't lose them. Because if you don't use it, you lose it. But if you know it, you can grow it. Or if you grow it, you can know it. You see how that works? Another common busy bee doing that a lot of busy bees do is bonding with family, especially if you feel happy and safe with your family or your relatives. And by the way, if you don't, please let somebody that you trust who is older than you know that there's somebody who is making you feel unsafe. Okay, another common busy bee doing or being is chatting with the wiser and older. Remember, the wiser and the older ones in your life won't be here forever. It's good to chat with people who are older and wiser than you because they can give you good advice and they can help you to make wise decisions and also help you to avoid some of the mistakes that they might have made in life. Common busy bee doings: enjoying clean fun with friends. I think I touched on that earlier. And finally, starting and running a business. Starting and running a business. Have you ever heard the word entrepreneur? Yeah, entrepreneurs run their own business. And it's a good thing to do from a young age, I think. Of course, with the supervision of your parents, if they endorse this. If not, you may have to wait until you're a little older. But running a business, or at least even learning how to run a business, is a smart and strategic thing to do. And they won't necessarily tell you that in school. Buzz. Eyes, limbs, mind, active. Eyes, limbs, and mind active. That's a picture of a busy bee. That's what a busy bee looks like. And here's a wise saying from the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 24, in the New King James Version of the Bible. The hand of the diligent will rule, but the lazy man will be put to forced labor. And no, this is not an endorsement or promotion of slavery or exploitation. What this verse is trying to say is that the diligent will do well in life and will be leaders in life, and the lazy will be serving others, or will be forced to work at some point later in life, even if they don't want to work now. The necessities of life and survival will force them to work later, even if they don't want to work now. I think that's what it means. You may see other things in that, and that's fine. You may see other meaning here, and that's fine. That's how the Bible is. That's what the Bible is like. It's very layered. There may be many different ways to interpret a single portion of Scripture. So, will you busy yourself with nothing or nothing much? Or will you get busy doing sweet somethings or honey such and such? A short poem that I wrote just for this video. Yup, written by yours truly. And here we have a picture of, can you see it in the bottom right hand corner of this picture? That's right, there's a bee buzzing around some flowers. A gentle reminder to get busy being a busy bee. You can thank me later. English idiom: as busy as a bee. I hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you for hitting the like button if you did, and thank you for subscribing. Until the next time.